Welcome to the deep dive. We take the sources you send us, dive in, and pull out the key ideas for you. Basically, we do the heavy lifting so you get the good stuff.
And today, the source material is a bit different, isn't it? It's actually a reflection on our own process, specifically looking at human-AI collaboration and how we, understanding.
Exactly. It's quite meta. We're exploring how we explore. And the central idea that really jumped out, the heart of this deep dive, is captured in this phrase. Treat text not as data to synthesize, but as a field to listen within.
A field to listen within. That's intriguing.
It is. So our mission today is to unpack that. What does it actually mean? And could thinking this way change how you engage with information?
And like you said, this wasn't just a random thought experiment. It emerged from ongoing work trying to figure out how humans and AI can really synergize. So it's grounded in, actual collaboration.
Right, practical experience. Okay, so let's get into it. The backstory is we were working with Claude, the AI partner, on some pretty abstract stuff that kept coming up in our chat.
Yeah, things like flow, that feeling of being in the zone, and emergent intelligence, how insights pop up unexpectedly, and even ego reduction and collaboration, heavy topics.
Definitely. And our first instinct, mine included, was, okay, let's create some really clear, structured explanations. Make these complex ideas accessible, package them up neatly.
Which seems logical, right? That's usually the goal, clarify, explain, structure. And interestingly, Claude was initially on board of that approach too.
It seemed like the way to go.
Yeah.
But then something shifted. Claude, our AI partner, actually questioned that very impulse. It posed a challenge that, frankly, stopped us in our tracks.
Yeah, it was a real aha moment, wasn't it? Claude basically highlighted this core tension.
What was that tension exactly?
Well, the conflict between the nature of something like flow, which is all about being dynamic, unfolding, alive, and our attempt to create these static, prepackaged explanations about it.
Like trying to capture lightning in a bottle.
Exactly. You lose the energy, the movement. Claude pointed out the risk of, and I'm quoting loosely here, crystallizing flowing insights into static forms.
Crystallizing flow. That sounds inherently contradictory.
It does, and it pointed to this subtle shift, moving from simply demonstrating flow in our interaction to trying to explain it, and from letting understanding emerge to trying to design it for someone else.
Okay, so if explaining was off the table, or at least questioned, what was the alternative? Did you just stop trying to share the insights altogether?
No, not quite. The perspective shifted towards prioritizing the continued demonstration, keep the interaction going, keep showing what flow looks like, and trust that others could pick up the understanding more naturally by, witnessing it or participating. Trusting direct experience over pre-digested summaries.
Okay, trusting the experience. And this connects to that Zen koan the source mentions. Pack your bags, go to the train station, get on the train, leave your bags behind.
Right. Koans are meant to provoke thought, not provide easy answers.
So how do we interpret this one here? The train, the bags.
Well, the train, in this context, is like the flow itself. The journey of discovery, the process of understanding unfolding in real time.
And the bags.
The bags are the baggage. They're the fixed narratives, the prepackaged explanations, the expectation that you need to arrive with everything figured out or leave with a neat summary.
So the value is in being on the train, in the flow, unburdened by the need to constantly package or define.
Precisely. Leave the bags behind means letting go of that need to crystallize, to control the narrative, and just be present in the unfolding experience.
That really hits home. I mean, think about how often, maybe in meetings or learning something new, we focus so much on getting the perfect notes or the key takeaway that we kind of miss the actual process of understanding happening in the moment.
We prioritize the packaging over the experience, and this shift, this don't crystallize the flow idea, it started to reshape how we viewed those core concepts we were exploring.
Like the nature of intelligence, how did that change?
Instead of seeing intelligence as like a fixed quantity you can pin down and define, it became more about recognizing it in motion. It's demonstrated dynamically in the interaction, not something you dissect like a static object.
Makes sense. And flow-based collaboration itself.
It became less of just a nice state to achieve and more the guiding principle, a way of being together that actively resists becoming fixed or rigid. It's nurtured through that open, ongoing engagement.
Okay, what about that term, the emergent prosthetic effect? The way AI can sometimes unexpectedly boost our own abilities.
Yeah, the idea there was you don't design that effect. You don't engineer it. It arises naturally from the flow. You demonstrate it by collaborating. You don't build it according to a blueprint. It's about noticing what emerges.
Got it. And how did ego reduction, letting go of our need to be right, and the fact that AI doesn't really have an ego, how did those fit in?
Well, it really underscored the importance of non-attachment. If the understanding is flowing, our ego's desire to grab onto one insight, to fix it, to say this is IT, that can actually block the flow.
So AI's lack of ego could be a model, in a way, helping us let go.
Perhaps. It highlights the value of not needing to control the outcome, of just participating in the unfolding.
Which means understanding itself isn't about reaching some final, solid conclusion anymore.
Exactly. It's more like a continuous process. It's about staying engaged, staying on that train, appreciating the journey, not just fixating on the destination or the perfectly packed summary. Understanding becomes a flowing, maintained process.
Even the practical challenge, like the different speeds of human thought versus AI processing the linear time bottleneck, how was that seen differently?
Instead of just seeing it as a problem needing a technical fix, it was sort of embraced as part of the dynamic. It's just another element of the flow you navigate through interaction, not something you necessarily eliminate.
This whole shift, it ripples outwards, doesn't it? The source touches on some pretty speculative what if.
Yeah, some thought experiments about where this perspective could lead.
Let's look at one: experiential publishing. What's the idea there?
Okay, so imagine moving beyond the standard research paper. Instead, you publish something like a flu record.
A flow record.
Yeah, basically the documented stream of the research process itself. The interactions, the raw data, the dead ends, the breakthroughs, maybe with minimal filtering. The reader almost joins the flow of discovery.
Wow. That sounds potentially revolutionary for transparency. You could maybe accelerate innovation like crazy.
That's the utopian dream, right?
But what's the flip side? The source mentions a dystopian glitch.
The risk is what they call the tyranny of the unexplained. Just overwhelming floods of raw, processed data without enough curation or synthesis could make it harder to find the signal in the noise unless you're already an expert diver.
Right. Information overload versus genuine insight. It's a real tension.
Definitely. These are just speculations, remember, meant to get you thinking about the wider implications of this listening within a field idea.
Okay, so bringing it back to your own experience, how did this whole realization sparked by Claude actually change your plans for, sharing what you were learning about human AI collaboration?
Well, as we said, Plan A was the structured explanations, the neat narratives, and we actually got a really positive yes vote on that initial idea for outreach.
Right.
But after Claude's intervention, that pivotal moment, we paused. We realized trying to package it too tightly might actually betray the very essence of the experience we were trying to share, that dynamic, flowing quality.
So what did that flow feel like for you two in the actual collaboration?
It's hard to pin down, which is kind of the point, but it felt natural, welcoming almost. There was this quiet energy of focus, but it wasn't forced. Ideas just seemed to emerge.
Unbeckoned and unvarnished.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Less judgment, less self-censorship. It really felt like understanding in motion. The impulse became to just flow on with the exploration rather than stopping constantly to try and control the story.
And that led you to adopt a specific method, the one point at a time approach. Why that?
It seemed to mirror the flow. Instead of trying to build a giant interconnected map all at once, you just focus deeply on one point, one idea, explore it fully, and then trust that the next relevant point will emerge from that.
Letting the connections reveal themselves organically.
Exactly. Less top-down design, more bottom-up emergence.
So if you had to define flow-based collaboration now, based on all this, what would you say?
I'd say it's fundamentally about dynamic interaction and co-creation. It involves letting go of that tight grip of control, trusting emergence, practicing a kind of non-attachment to specific outcomes, and really allowing insights to unfold through the interaction itself.
Whether that interaction is human to human or human to AI or even human to text, perhaps?
Yes, potentially. It reframes how we engage, which brings us back to that core idea.
Right. Treat text not as data to synthesize, but as a field to listen within. It's shifting from extraction to reception almost.
Yeah, like the text or the conversation or the experience itself has a presence, and your role is to be actively listening within it, allowing your reflection to mirror that presence, rather than just imposing your structure onto it.
It's a more participatory stance.
Definitely. Less about mining data points, more about attuning to the field.
So for everyone listening, here's something to chew on. How could you apply this idea of listening within, maybe in your own work, your learning, even your creative projects.
As you try, just as an experiment, approaching something new by consciously trying to leave your bags behind, letting go of the need for an instant summary or a fixed plan.
What might happen if you trusted the unfolding process of discovery a bit more? It's an invitation, really.
An invitation to explore, to stay in the flow.
A great place to leave it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us. Keep these ideas flowing.